Recently, Philadelphia boxer Gabriel Rosado explained a stretch of rough fights by describing himself as having too much heart. Maybe it's something in the water, because there's another Philly fighter, a man named Eddie Alvarez, who shares the same trait. Alvarez, like Rosado, is a skilled technician, a truly scientific fighter, who just never seems to find himself in an easy fight. He does, however, have a habit of finding himself in fun fights, ones which he almost always wins in the end. That's why the announcement of Eddie Alvarez's first ever bout in the UFC against another action fighter in Donald Cerrone has created such a buzz in the MMA community. Alvarez's skill set includes some of the craftiest offensive boxing in the sport. His style is one of cultivating and then promptly destroying expectations. An opponent who thinks he has a read on Alvarez is almost always in for a surprise, as Eddie is liable to do exactly what you don't expect at any moment, even if that means engaging in a life or death brawl. Let's explore what makes the lineal Bellator champ tick, and what keeps him a step ahead of his opponents. This is Frame by Frame Fights, the Trickster. One of the most remarkable things about Eddie Alvarez is how frequently he gets knocked down. It's difficult to think of another fighter so vastly superior to most of his opponents in terms of boxing skill, and yet so susceptible to being hurt on the feet. Some of this has to do with Eddie's aforementioned overgrown sense of self-confidence, but primarily the problem is not psychological, but physiological. Alvarez exhibits two postural issues that affect his ability to withstand blows to the chin. First, there's hyperkyphosis, the overcurvature of the upper back, resulting in a head-forward posture and rounded shoulders. Second, hyperlordosis, an overcurvature of the lower or lumbar spine. This results in a tightness and loss of elasticity in the muscles of the back. If we think of the back like a spring that serves to dissipate shock, then each of these musculoskeletal imbalances is equivalent to a kink in the structure of that spring. Not only does Alvarez's head-forward posture make his chin an inviting target, it reduces his body's natural ability to absorb shock. Hyperkyphosis effectively weakens the link between the muscles of the neck and those of the upper and middle back, while hyperlordosis weakens the link between the muscles of the back and those of the posterior chain. In other words, when Eddie gets hit in the head, a majority of the force of that hit stays in his head. The issue is exacerbated when Eddie punches, a terrible predicament for a fighter who often likes to throw counters in the midst of his opponent's attacks. Here, Alvarez prepares to jab his opponent, Michael Chandler. As he goes to throw his left hand, his already forward-oriented shoulder lifts and protracts. The result is that Eddie's chin, already more exposed than it should be, flies up into the air as his punch reaches full extension. Now, chin high up in the air, Alvarez has little choice but to eat Chandler's counter right, and because his rounded back cannot efficiently distribute the force of the blow, the weak muscles of his neck and jaw have to do all the work. The result is less than desirable. Again, watch the effect that Alvarez's posture has on the positioning of his chin, and his ability to withstand Chandler's power. Of course, to describe Eddie Alvarez as simply someone who gets knocked down a lot would be a great disservice. The fact is that Alvarez possesses excellent footwork, which is enough to save him from trouble even when his chin cannot. This sequence, for example, starts with Alvarez eating a flush right hand to the jaw. Immediately, Eddie creates some space by taking a quick step back. His feet are in good position when he stops, which helps to mitigate the effects of his posture on his punch resistance. Instead of continuing to back up and letting Chandler run him into the fence, however, Alvarez utilizes a check hook, a left hook thrown with a simultaneous pivot to escape to Chandler's right. Chandler, stunned by Alvarez's punch and caught up in the momentum of his own, hurdles toward the fence, while Alvarez completes his pivot and puts his back to the center of the cage. While it would be nice to see Eddie Alvarez solve the problems that so often get him into trouble in the first place, it is satisfying to watch him use his technical skills to keep from going over the brink. The most effective and most aesthetically pleasing part of Alvarez's style is his offense, particularly the so-called dart right hand that he throws so frequently. Let's see that punch in action now. The dart right, or what I would term a soft right hand, allows Alvarez to essentially jab with both hands. To set the punch up, he squares his shoulders and gets onto the ball of his right foot in order to drive forward and off at an angle. As he throws, he steps forward with his left foot to help close the distance. Here, you can see the angle created by Alvarez's punch, as his head travels to the outside of Chandler's right shoulder even as he connects. This punch is a favorite of Alvarez's, and he keeps the threat of it fresh in every opponent's mind by constantly shifting and feinting with his shoulders. Let's see it again. Of course, when I suggest that Alvarez throws jabs with both hands, the question of why might arise. If the left hand is already closer to the target and therefore faster to throw, why would a fighter want to develop a similar and slightly less effective punch with the power hand? The answer is unpredictability. The concept of a soft right hand is predicated on the idea of visual threat. When a fighter squares his shoulders, his opponent's immediate expectation is of an incoming left hook. Turning the body and loading weight onto the front foot chambers the left arm and creates enough distance for a powerful circular blow. At the same time, this position shortens the distance between the opponent and the fighter's right hand, normally held at the rear, decreasing its potential for power but giving it a shorter, more direct trajectory to the target. Hard punches are good punches, so why would a fighter deliberately decrease the power of his cross? That's the exact question that Eddie's opponents find themselves asking just as his dart right collides with their face. And once Alvarez has established the right hand as the primary threat whenever he squares his shoulders, he can use the position for its more orthodox purpose, landing power punches with the left hand. See how he sets up Roger Huerta for a left uppercut by first landing the soft right hand. Alvarez, moving forward, squares his shoulders and shifts his weight to his left foot. The deceptive right hand catches Huerta completely off guard, and Eddie exits on an angle, just in case Huerta were to do anything other than move straight back, which he doesn't. With lots of space to work, Alvarez prepares to capitalize on his investment with the soft right hand. He not only shifts to his left again, but really sells the cross with a feint, extending his right hand toward Huerta's face. Huerta responds by ducking in a desperate bid to get away from Eddie's right, which puts him right in the path of the real attack, a hard left uppercut. Let's see it once more. And of course, it wouldn't be an Eddie Alvarez fight without a little bit of reckless brawling to cap off that intelligent, tactical attack. Whether or not the lineal Bellator lightweight champion will carry his success into the UFC is yet to be seen, but there's no doubt that Eddie Alvarez belongs under the bright lights on the biggest stage in the world. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to click the like button below. For more videos like this, subscribe to MMANation.com on YouTube and check out BloodyElbow.com. I'm Connor Rebush. Thanks for watching.